Sunday, 101 Monday, and 102 on Tuesday. Another look at the short range. We should top off around 99 today. Lows level off around 64 tonight. High of 98 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, it's 68 degrees.
Attention, Goodland of the tri-state area. A monumental change is coming to your radio dial. KLOE is transforming into the all-new 730 Gold KLOE. Get ready for non-stop hits from yesteryear, the songs you love, and the memories you cherish, all in one place. Plus, local news, ag news, weather, and events, all tailored for the tri-state community. It's the dawn of a new era. It's 730 Gold KLOE, coming August 5th to a radio near you.
In recent months, some people looking for Midwest Energy on Google have reported sponsored ads pop up with different phone numbers, connecting them to scammers. When online, always look closely at links and phone numbers before clicking or calling. Midwest Energy's only phone number is 1-800-222-3121. Any other number, and it's likely a scam. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's. So thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FACE at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FACE. Enjoy.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Rise and shine. It's butt whipping time.
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Christian Peck-Dimit.
Do you want to keep this job? Shut up, listen, learn.
The region's only local sports talk show, discussing it all from the preps to the pros.
What time is it? Dance time.
Simulcasting on AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State, streaming online at nwksradio.net and the Rockingham app.
They are everywhere.
The Blitz is presented by the insurance agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
And then the pitch to McMahon. It's sat down that left field line. It's got a chance to go. Ward on the run. It is gone. Just fair and just over the wall for 347 sign. The Southern California native, Ryan McMahon, with a 3-1 blast.
High fastball is lined into left field. Waco scores. Junior goes to third. He's going to come to the plate. How about that? Heads up base running. 1-2. Driven deep to right field. Did he get it? Did he get it? Oh, he got it. A 3-run home run. Jazz has done it again. And the Yankees take the lead. 5-4. There it is. Oh, there it is. Cedric with the conversion. And Team USA make history in Paris.
Quiz time for Christian to open up the show. Can you name what sport that was for the final call?
No, I can't.
You can't at all?
No, sir.
History again for Team USA. That was actually the final call, the winning call, as the U.S. Rugby 7 women's team won the bronze. Did you happen to see the highlight of that yesterday where the girl took off, had to run 90 yards at the pretty much with no time left.
Basically the buzzer, yeah.
Yeah, and then kick the, I don't know, that's not the extra point, but put it through the uprights, the drop kick, and USA secures a bronze for the first time ever.
Wow.
Actually, I think it's their first medal in rugby in over 100 years.
Woo!
I think I heard that stat yesterday, which is highly impressive, first and foremost. 100 years, which just tells you how much the U.S. really cares about rugby that much. got other sports to worry about.
It's on the come up, I will say.
Yeah, actually, I saw this morning that Michelle Kang, who I think is owner in a couple of women's leagues, professional league teams out of Washington State. I think it's Washington State, might be Washington. But she, after that, was so moved by the performance by the U.S., she donated $4 million to women's rugby in the U.S.
That'll do it.
That's impressive. That's a nice little donation. You'll take that whenever you can get that. That's for sure. Anyway, happy Wednesday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz for the next 45 to 50 minutes or so. We're with you here on 102.5. Goodland's Rock at 102.5.
Yeah.
I got to get used to that. I'm really struggling with that. I'm going to get better. And it's just going to get even worse starting on Monday, I guarantee, as we go from Fox Sports Tri-State to AM 730 or Goodland 730 Gold KLOE. So I'm going to have to write that down and put it like a sticker somewhere like right in front of me. Actually, not even right. I'm going to have it on computer paper, just really, really big and bold. So that way I remember to say it the correct way. But hope everyone's having a great start to your Wednesday. Of course, we're available online, nwksradio.net, streaming as well, and live video stream, courtesy of Hurl Chevrolet GMC on Facebook, Twitter /X, and YouTube. So there you go. We are everywhere, folks. We are everywhere. If you can't find us, we're sorry. We're trying the best we can to get.
If you can find us, we're also sorry.
Anyway, today's show took a bit of a turn late last night. I got this text message from our guest of the day, Mark Johnson, radio voice of the Colorado Buffaloes. This will give you an insight to what Mark Johnson does in his off time. Hey, Ross. Hey, this is at 10:30 last night, Mountain Time. So Christian might have been asleep at this point in time. I don't know. He might have been getting settled down. Or he might have been playing as Kennesaw State in college football 25. One of the two.
Not Kennesaw State, Kent State.
Kent State, sorry. Anyway, he goes, hey, Ross, hate to do this, but I won't be able to make the interview tomorrow. I had a team roping mishap, making a run, and my horse blew up. Darn Mayor. I've separated my pelvis. Sounds like I'm having surgery in the morning.
My
gosh. Then I'll be good as new.
Jeez. Wow.
So in his off time, when he's not calling Colorado Buffalo football and basketball, Mark Johnson is team roping in the mountains of Colorado. And
unfortunately injured himself when his horse blew up. So that's a rough deal. So Mark Johnson will not be joining us today, but he will be joining us later on in the later on post-surgery when he's back to 100%. But yeah, the show took a turn. It was supposed to have Mark Johnson to talk Colorado Buffalo football, but it just will not be happening today. We will get to the Rockies and the Royals. The Royals with another comeback win. The Rockies blow a lead and lose. An update from the MLB trade deadline. Some big names were not traded, including Scoobs, as he's known on this show, was not traded. A few other interesting names were not traded as well, but some names were moved. The Royals made another move at the deadline. We'll get to all that coming up in our third segment. We'll get you another update from Paris as well. But I wanted to kick off this show today. Oh, and also before I forget, we will have a chance to win from the Kansas Lottery today. We have world champion Kansas City Chiefs instant tickets to give away from the Kansas Lottery. And so be sure to be listening throughout the show. We've got a couple of those to give away today, and we'll have a chance to win through the FNB Bank text line, the number 785-899-2222, the number part of the Morning Blitz, and to possibly a winner from the Kansas Lottery a little bit later on. But I wanted to kick things off today because today is a special day. It's not just the last day of July, but it is pretty much marking the beginning of college football, the college football season, as camps have begun. Yesterday, Kansas, KU, had their first football camp, and Lance Leipold of the fall camp season. Today, Kansas State gets going. Nebraska does as well. I know Colorado's around in this time too. I think actually today because their first game is Saturday. So we get a month before and camp begins and college football is officially underway. And so what I wanted to do, and because I was trying to kind of lead into Mark Johnson, I was going to talk about all four regional teams, Colorado, Nebraska, KU, and K-State, and what is the biggest question mark that you, whether the listener or Christian, have about your team, whether it's KU, it's K-State, if it's Nebraska, it's Colorado. What is the biggest question mark you have about your college football team going into this upcoming season? What is the biggest question mark or question that you hope to get answered, or what you're fascinated to get answered at some point in time? And it could be one question. It could be a couple of questions. I have at least one for each and every school. So I want to start there, and I can get things rolling if you'd like me to with our first. You can pick KU or K-State. I don't care. You can start wherever. We'll start with Kansas because they already have a day of practice under their belt. They were the first ones. They've got an opener on Friday, August. Golly, what day will that be? 30th. And so the biggest question I have for KU, and it's actually a pretty simple one. It's not too complicated. But my question is, how do you go about keeping Jalen Daniels healthy while also letting him be the playmaker that you need him to be? That is the biggest question I have for KU football this year. I think Kansas football has a chance at winning. I'll say this again, winning a Big 12 football title this year. I think they have a chance of doing it. And I know everybody has a chance right now as we sit here 30 days before kickoff, but I think they have a legitimate chance of actually doing it when we get to that point in December. They have a chance of winning a football title in the Big 12. I believe they have a chance of doing that. But to me, it all hinges on Jalen Daniels because he is the straw that stirs that offensive drink, which is led by other great playmakers and Grimm and Jackson and Arnold, and of course Devin Neal. We can't forget about him. I'm super fascinated to see how they go about keeping Jalen Daniels healthy while also letting him make enough plays to make him what he was over 2 years ago, which was kind of a Big 12 preseason player of the year. That's my biggest question going into this season for Kansas.
It's sort of interesting that question is probably a similar one to, actually, I know that it's a similar one to a lot of K-State fans and what they have as far as a question mark with Avery Johnson and the way that they're sort of going to work with the young quarterback, especially in Johnson's case. He's got a much thinner frame and really likes to run that football. But firstly, the F&B Bank text line is wide open, 785-899-2222. We'd love to get your question marks, whether you're a Hawks fan, a Cats fan, if you're up with Ross in Nebraska, if you're over in Colorado and you're trying to fill in for Mark Johnson today.
There's plenty of Buffalo fans and Nebraska fans around. I see them.
Oh, of
Trust
course.
me. I know they're around.
But if you've got a question or maybe a better way to phrase it, something that you're worried about or you think could sort of be a hinging point of the season, whether for better or for worse, 785-899-2222. Let us know. That's the number, as always, to be part of the Morning Blitz, the F&B Bank text line. Ross started with Kansas. I think I will as well. I didn't phrase it quite the same. Injuries should be a question mark, or rather the health of this team. Obviously, we saw how much injuries to the men under center for the Hawks affected the KU squad last season. But I think this is sort of an interesting position here for Kansas, where my biggest question mark is their ability to make plays in the clutch. By that, I don't mean that they are historic chokers or they spent all of last season failing to make plays when they needed to. But I just look at this Kansas schedule and I'm intrigued by something. I'm intrigued by the fact that on the scale of a contender for the Big 12 title, which KU is, it's a surprisingly easy docket for the Hawks. Of the three teams projected to finish in the top of the Big 12, whether that's via betting odds or Big 12 media preseason poll, it's the same top three. The Hawks have one of them. One on their schedule. That's OK State, that's K-State, and that's Utah, all picked to finish near the top of the Big 12 of this conference. It's only Kansas State in Manhattan that KU has on its schedule. And really, if you look up and down the docket for KU, it's not a lot of super difficult teams. Really, the only thing that stands out to me is you've got Iowa State, BYU at BYU, because that'll be sort of a bit of a rivalry game, I guess. And you've also got Illinois at Illinois, game 2 of the season. That will be a nice little non-conference bout there. But really, you only need to win, and obviously you need to win all of these games if you'd like to go to the Big 12 title game, but you only really have maybe 2, maybe 3 games on this schedule that you're truly worried about. Are you worried about Colorado at home? No, or at least you shouldn't be. Are you worried about Baylor at Baylor? Again, you shouldn't be. The Mountaineers at West Virginia, shouldn't be worried about that either. Maybe you give a little bit of respect to UNLV, but really it's Illinois in Champaign and it's K-State in Manhattan. Those 2 games are going to define your season, whether for better or for worse. And if you want them to be for better, those 2 games are probably also ones that are pretty equally matched opponents. They're probably going to come down to plays made in the fourth quarter. And what is this squad in Kansas more than anything else? It's a veteran squad, like Luke Grimm, like Arnold, like Neal. These guys are all veterans. They've been there. They've done that. Jalen Daniels, is now in his 5th year. These guys on offense, the playmakers that you're going to lean on, have lots of Big 12 experience. Now, was it a slightly different Big 12? Sure. But my biggest question mark is, can you make plays in the clutch? Because this schedule for Kansas makes it so that if you really may come down to 2 drives, your season may come down to a final drive in the K-State game and a final drive in the Illinois game. And if you lose both of those games and then fail to make the Big 12 title, you probably won't make the college football playoff either. And if you come away with huge plays on those 2 drives and you beat either Kansas State or Illinois or both, you've got yourself a ticket, maybe even to the Big 12 title game. And suddenly you've secured yourself a CFP spot as well. My biggest question mark for KU right now, will they be able to make those plays when it matters the most?
We'll see. This schedule, I think, could have a few spots. I think at Illinois could possibly be a bit of a challenge in the non-conference. At West Virginia is not going to be easy. It's a tough place to play, and West Virginia is mightily improved from a couple of years ago. Obviously, you're right. Kansas State will be difficult. Iowa State will not be easy at home, but it won't be too bad. And then I'll tell you another game that you got to circle and watch out for, I think, is BYU. Yep, BYU is always tough. Very tough game on the road at BYU and Provo. So the schedule, yes, manageable. And I think, once again, like I said, I think the biggest question, once again, for me is just if Jalen Daniels is healthy and how well he can play, I think that'll be and how much he can play and how well he can play will be a huge decider in what kind of season the Jayhawks have. If he has a type of season like he did a couple of years ago, I think you look out. I think Kansas could be that team that's going to be there in the end, vying for that stuff. Listener Chase chimes in on the text line. His question for KU as well is Jalen Daniels' health. That's the biggest thing for him. We did have someone on the FB Bank text line, someone talking about our Leighton cure. Word out of Lawrence into camp is that he learned the playbook fast, could be number 2 or number 3 tight end right off the bat. I'm not surprised in the league. I am not surprised one bit at all. Not surprised. There's not many people who work as hard as Leighton Cure does. He is an extremely hard worker and also very bright. So I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure we will see Leighton Cure on the football field in some capacity, game 1 against Lindenwood and probably game 2 against Illinois. Feel very confident in saying that.
If he's a playmaker for him, that'd be pretty cool.
Tight ends get used pretty neat. I mean,
that's true.
That's another kind of cool question I have actually for both Kansas and Kansas State, and I think I've said it before in the show, is how much do the offenses look different, if at all? Because both offensive coordinators are someplace else now. Mm-hmm. Colin Klein, of course, is at Texas A&M, and Andy Koltanecki's at Penn State. How do the offenses look different, if anything at all? I'm intrigued to see that. KU's offense underneath Koltanecki was one of the most fun to watch. The way they moved guys, shifted guys, ran the option out of it at times, threw the ball. Very, very good. Listener Chase says, yeah, Grimes loves, Jeff Grimes, OC there at KU, says he loves Leighton Cure. Also, another question from the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222 regarding KU. Jeff Grimes' integration into a pretty potent offense. Jalen's health, obviously, and pressuring the quarterback. First time we've seen that one come up. And that will be, the defense we know since Leipold's been there has been a work in progress. It has gotten a little bit better each and every year, especially in the front 7. I think the secondary is taken care of. Mello Dotson and the Hawk Mamba, Kobe Bryant. So, I think the secondary is pretty well taken care of, but the front 7, pressuring the quarterback like that texter said, that's big as well.
Could be. I mean, that's defenses work hand in hand. You can make a corner as good as Mello Dotson or as Bryant look amazing or terrible if you give these quarterbacks, especially in the Big 12, a ton of time or none at all.
So anyway, once again, question marks regarding Kansas and KU football as they opened up camp yesterday there in Lawrence. Let's shift over to Kansas State before we get to a break, and then we'll talk Colorado, Nebraska after the break, since no Mark Johnson today, unfortunately, due to a team roping accident.
Which is crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not super crazy. There's a lot of people who do team roping. In the
high plains problem.
Yeah, usually high plains. Yeah, right. Not D1 radio broadcasters, but hey. Mark Johnson is kind of he's that country boy. He grew up in North Dakota. He was born and raised in North Dakota, and then was in Colorado, and I think he loves to fish and hunt and stuff like that. And so it's not surprised he probably does rodeoing as well. Anyway, moving on to Kansas State. We'll let you lead this off. Where is your biggest question mark for K-State here going into this upcoming season as they open up fall camp today? Actually,
I've got 2 and one of them we've exhausted to no end. So obviously, is Avery Johnson the real deal? Can this kid live up to the expectations that I feel so bad that he's gotten at this point? I mean, if we had just let bygones be bygones, we'd be talking about this kid. Maybe he'll be one of the better Qs in the Big 12, and can he be that amazing dual threat that he was last year as a starter all year long? And then if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. We watched national media grab it, and suddenly he's top 10 in the Heisman conversation, which is an incredible opportunity for the kid, but also a lot of, say, responsibility and expectation. Can he live up to that? If he can, this can be a college football playoff level team. I believe that. But my real big question here has a little bit to do with that, but it's slightly different. It's the offensive line play. The Cats were top 20 in the country, 16th in the entire nation, not the Big 12, in the country, in sack percentage last year. And they got better over time as that unit gelled, because in their last 3 games of the season last year, they were third in the nation. Third in the nation in percentage of sacks allowed. That's on dropbacks for quarterbacks. That's incredible. But what happened this offseason is you lost the majority of your offensive line, including, of course, Cooper Beebe. This is a situation in the modern NFL, not the modern NFL, we're talking college sports, in the modern game of football, where avid listeners will remember on Friday, we talked offensive line to no end. If you missed it, of course, go find it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can go back and listen to it. We talked a lot about the idea that offensive lines can dictate how we view quarterbacks, whether they're good, whether they're bad, if they have not enough time in the pocket and they look frantic and uncomfortable. Maybe it's just their offensive line. Now, does that take all of the pressure off quarterbacks, off of young Avery Johnson? No. But by all accounts, K-State has gone out and done a pretty solid job in the transfer portal of attempting to replace what they lost on the offensive line. Easton Kilty, this kid from North Dakota, is top of that list. He could be a day one starter for you, and probably he'll need to be. But here's the deal. If that offensive line can be any semblance of the quality it was, and it doesn't have to be that day one, like we said they did last year, they can meld and mesh together over the course of the season. But if that offensive line can be any semblance of the level that it was last year, if you can protect a talent like Avery Johnson to anywhere close the level that you protected Will Howard last year, you add a little bit of experience, you add a couple of weapons to this Cat squad like they did in the offseason, it is a dangerous team in all caps. So I think the offensive line play is a question mark and a hinging point on what the Cats can do this season.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. Also, Texter chimes in. Texter chimes in, unnamed Texter. But thank you for chiming on the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. His question for Kansas State: is Avery Johnson the real deal? Offensive line cohesiveness and new offensive coordinator. So
got them all covered there.
And former head coach Matt Wells is passing game coordinator, because they have 2 co-OCs, Connor Riley and Matt Wells. So we're pretty much all on the same page. Listener Chase chimes in as well about Kansas State. Offensive line cohesiveness, Avery Johnson the real deal, or just hype? So everyone's got the same question marks. And I guess what? I couldn't agree more with those statements. Offensive line cohesiveness, no doubt to me, is a big question. It's not the biggest one I have, but it is up there in the top 2. Okay. I do believe that Connor Riley, I believe he's the offensive line coach. He will do a really good job.
Okay.
I believe he'll do a good job of getting those together. Will it be as dominant of an offensive line? I don't think so. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be good. I just don't expect dominance. But my biggest question mark for K-State football this year does have to do with Avery Johnson, but it has to do with a combination of the OCs and Avery Johnson. What are they wanting to get out of each other? What does K-State want out of Avery Johnson? What does Avery Johnson want to do for Kansas State? Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say that Avery Johnson's not going to, do whatever he's told to do. He will. My point is, Avery Johnson reminds me of, I'm going to just use a Nebraska example because that's my best point of reference, but it reminds me of a young quarterback by the name of Taylor Martinez. Not Adrian Martinez, Taylor Martinez. Now, Adrian could kind of fit in that deal, but Taylor Martinez was a young man who had unbelievable speed, was a phenomenal runner and athlete, and he carved up defenses running the football. He was very, very good, and he was an okay passer. Avery Johnson is a much better passer than Taylor Martinez is. I can guarantee you that. But the thing that concerns me the most is if you get enamored with Avery Johnson's athleticism, his ability to run the football, how much are you going to say, well, we're going to run him because he's our best option? Our offensive line isn't getting the push that it used to get because it's younger and not as cohesive. And so Giddens and, gosh darn it, I'm losing my mind on the young man who transferred in from Colorado. Dylan Edwards, thank you. Edwards and Giddens are not getting the carries they are up front. So we need to run the football with the quarterback because it's 11 on 11 at that point in time. The numbers add up. And then when you do that, once I go back to Avery Johnson and his frame, he's not the biggest guy in the world. Maybe he's wiry. How much of a pounding can he take during the course of the entire season? My biggest concern and question mark for K-State football this year is how enamored do you get with Avery Johnson's athleticism and his ability to run the football and be really good in running the football, but how does that hurt your team in the long run because he gets dinged up or hurt throughout the season, causing him not to be able to play? You have to play the backups, which might result in losses, possibly.
You sound like every K-State dad right now across Western Kansas. Yeah,
why dad?
As I've integrated myself here, excuse me, with Western Kansas lifestyle, there are many K-State fans out here, and if this is you that I've talked to, I think I've tried to get a barometer, as Nick Saban might say, though he might, of how that's an all-time quote. If I stuck a barometer up there to get how much energy you're giving, I'd get about 50%.
All right.
That's an all-timer.
All right.
If I were to get a barometer of K-State fans' number one worries, as I talk to all the K-State dads around here, man, they're going to run Avery Johnson too much and they're going to get him all beat up. And it's an absolutely valid concern, or it should be. I think the one thing that'll keep that from happening is Dylan Edwards, DJ Giddens. You've got two talents that are not only excellent runners, but these sort of scat backs that both do a lot of damage catching the football out of the backfield. I think it gives you a nice wrinkle to your offense, and I think it can sort of let you be a little bit safer with Avery Johnson. Does that mean that you're not going to be sort of tempted to just smash the big red button that is an Avery Johnson read option every other play? No, you're still going to be tempted to do that, but I think they have enough talent in the backfield around him that they can sort of maybe ease him into that running or the beating that Ross said that he probably will take.
Like I said, that's going to be the biggest thing, and that probably adds up to the fact of offensive line cohesiveness, because if that's good, that means the running backs can probably run more and be more effective that way.
True.
I think if they can keep the style of offense that they ran with Will Howard, even though Will Howard was not the fleetest of foot quarterback, but he showed that he could run when he needed to. I think if you kind of keep that style of offense with Avery Johnson and maybe mix in just maybe 2 or 3, 4 more runs a game with Avery, I think you're in the sweet spot right there. If you can do that. But I've seen teams where, the running game isn't really going great with the running backs, and we got to get an advantage. So let's run the quarterback, and we've got our best athlete, maybe our best runner, is the quarterback in Avery Johnson.
He's also incredibly talented, you know.
And he is, but there's
as an offensive coordinator, you also are tempted to just say he is absolutely our best athlete, and he is an incredible talent. And to sit him in the pocket and make him a true passer is also a detriment to your offense in the same way.
I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to do that.
I'm not saying that you want that. I'm just saying that not running him as much as you can could also be seen as a detriment the other way, where you're not unlocking a wrinkle in your offense that you know is there.
It's about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly.
It's about finding that sweet spot. If you're a Connor Riley and of course Coach Wells, that's what it is. All right, we're way past due for a break. We really went long in the first. So we'll take a great break. Come back. We'll be a little faster on the other regional teams in Nebraska and Colorado next. Once again, what's the biggest question mark on your favorite college football team? Text in throughout the break on the text line 785-899-2222, the FE Bank text line. Also, it is open now to be a winner from the Kansas Lottery. If you'd like to be a winner of the world champions back-to-back Kansas City Chiefs instant tickets where you could win up to $75,000, some other great Chiefs prizes, text in now. Got a couple of those. Text in the word Chiefs to 785-899-2222, the FE Bank text line. Back with more after this.
Hola, soy Marie en el FNB Bank. Ahí ofrecemos diferentes cuentas de depósito que les puede ayudar a lograr sus goles financieros, ya sea de cuentas de cheques o de ahorros, a cuentas de cheques para negocios o una variedad de opciones de CDs. Estamos aquí para ayudarlo. Puede parar a nuestro banco que está al este del correo en Goodland o puede hablarnos a 785-890-2000 para trabajar conmigo o con algún otro miembro de FNB Bank.
The color orange usually means caution. Well, let me caution you that you only have this week to take advantage of the Kubota Orange Sales event at Colby Ag Center. Yeah, for this week only, take advantage of sale prices on orange-colored Kubota mowers, utility tractors, and RTV side-by-sides. Financing's available. It's the Kubota Orange Day Sales event. It's going on this week only through this Saturday the 3rd at Colby Ag Center. Let me ask you, have you ever rode a Kubota?
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. Tom Saludo with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on July the 31st. In the overnight session, steppe corn was down 1 at 387. Beef was down 1 at 403.5. And March was down 1 at 419.25. August soybeans were up 9 at 1036. Steppe soybeans were up 5 at 1016. And November soybeans were up 4 at 1025.5. Kansas City hard red winter wheat was down 2.5 at 574. Deese was down 3 at 563, and March was down 4 at 575.5. Dow Jones is currently up 104 points at 41,065. S&P is up 70 points at 5,543. NASDAQ is up 415 points at 19,351. Gold is up 13 points at 24.65, and oil is up 3% at 77 a barrel. If you're out in the Colorado area and have any grain to market or risk management questions, please call John Handke at 970-744-4484, or you can call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Ball, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. Thank you.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game. Outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
When it comes to growing soybeans, you need an advantage. And with Zetavo soybean seed, you get a big one. 3.4 bushels per acre big. It's a yield advantage made possible by BASF genetics, proprietary germplasm, and industry-leading seed quality. Talk to your retailer today about staying ahead of the game with Zetavo soybean seed. From BASF, Zetavo soybean seed.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks, and you're listening to my main man, Ross Volkmer. He may be a Husker, but he also knows how to rock chalk. And you're listening to the Morning Blitz right here on 102.5 Rock.
Scrolling through the Twitter sphere, seeing all these pictures of camp opening up, just makes my day. Super happy.
It makes me sort of sad, to be honest, because I see that and I'm like, I'm ready for football, and we've been talking for the past week, getting ready for football, and there's still a month left.
We got a whole month to go. We got so much more football to talk
That's
to.
what I'm saying.
By the way, listeners, David, Ben, and Tess, you are winners from the Kansas Lottery. I had 3 tickets to give away today. So David, Ben, and Tess. Other ones like Rob, Jedediah, I'm sorry. If you want to text in later on in the week, we will get you. We'll try to get you a winner. But had 3 tickets to give away today. So David, Ben, and Tess are the winners this day from the Kansas Lottery with the Chiefs instant tickets, where you can win up to $75K, which would be pretty sweet. Anyway, we only got about 15 minutes left to go on the show. We're continuing to talk about your favorite college football teams, biggest question mark going into the season. And we're going to change gears and go with the more regional schools in Colorado and Nebraska. Let's start with the Buffaloes. Our good friend Mark Johnson unable to join the show today because of a unfortunate team roping incident that happened yesterday.
That's still
which is unbelievable. But in your opinion, where is the biggest question mark for Colorado coming up this season? To me, there's just one big, blatant one.
Yeah, I'm assuming that I'm not gonna break the bank here or say anything that people haven't heard already. Colorado needs to improve its trenches. As a great man once said, Mass kicks ass, and Mass does indeed kick ass. Those big men up in front, especially its offensive line, I think rushing the passer and defensively stopping the run for them is big. Those are important question marks, but realistically, with the explosiveness that is possible for this offense, you need to protect Shedeur. And really, I think that's going to happen. Realistically, I think Coach Prime has given themselves the best opportunity to do that. If you remember earlier in the show, I used a sack percentage that's on times that the quarterback dropped back to pass, the number of times or the percentage of that time that he was sacked. I use that to compliment K-State. I'm going to use that same statistic to insult Colorado. They are, get this, 124th in the country in sack percentage. For those of you counting at home, that is just outside of the bottom 10 in the country. It's actually just in teams. Yeah. So that's ridiculous. 124th sack percentage in the country. When Shedeur Sanders dropped back to pass, he was sacked more than 10% of the time. On 10 dropbacks, he was sacked almost 2 times. That's crazy. Not almost 2, more than 1 time. That's a little bit ridiculous, but never fear, Buffs fans. There were 10 offensive linemen grabbed in the portal by Coach Prime. For reference, that's more than total recruits in the transfer portal that Nebraska got. Period. Nebraska got 7 dudes in the transfer portal. Now they're all important, and they're probably all going to be contributors, or most of them, for the squad this year. I think the Huskers did a good job. But Coach Prime got more than that, just offensive linemen. He's doing everything he can. He knows, as well as you know, as well as we know, what the problem is and what needs to be fixed for the Buffs.
It's all about the flash for Colorado. At least it has been through the first year. That was going to be one of my questions for Mark Johnson was, have you seen any sort of a culture? I don't want to say culture is not the right word, but kind of a mentality shift in Colorado where it was all about the flash last year. And it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I took it in firsthand. It was fun. Despite getting beat, it was still fun. But as the season wore on, the flash went away. And all the fun, the flash, and the glam all went away, and you started getting your butt kicked because you didn't have enough up front, both offensively and defensively. So, yeah, that is, to me, the biggest question for Colorado. Can they make this brand spanking new entire offensive line work and gel together? Can they find a way to take any, and I mean any kind of pressure off of Shedeur? And that's going to be more on the head coach to say, well, we need to run the ball a little bit more. Can they do anything like that? Shedeur is an amazing quarterback. I'm very impressed with him. He is a lot of fun to watch, and he's good. But I think they shoulder him with too much at times. They need to have other playmakers, particularly in the running game, make some plays. And we'll see if that happens. I don't know if it will. They're going to have playmakers on the outside. They're going to throw it all over the yard, more than likely. It'll be entertaining that way. But, yes, I couldn't agree more. Can they keep him clean? I remember watching that Washington State game late on a Friday night, and he was just getting mauled. I mean, it was like to the point where he was just like, I'm not going in there anymore, Dad. I'm getting killed. Send the backup in. And they did. So, like I said, I couldn't agree more. That is a big question mark. Yeah. Huge question mark going in is the line play for Colorado. Once again, the EpiBank text line is open, 785-899-2222. The biggest question mark on your college football team, especially if you're a Colorado Buffalo fan or a Nebraska Cornhusker fan. And we got to keep this train moving. And so we'll shift into Nebraska. I'll lead it off with the biggest question mark for Nebraska this year is, can you change your turnover woes? Can you flip it? Did you know that Nebraska has not won the turnover battle since the early 2000s? They've been negative in turnover margin since the early 2000s. I'm talking awesome. Like 2006. Oh, it's been forever.
That's
Since
horrible.
2006, they've been minus whatever in turnover margin.
Almost 2 decades.
Last year, it was the absolute worst it's ever been. Yeah. Minus 17. And so that is the biggest question mark. How do you go about not only limiting your turnovers, fumbles, and interceptions, but forcing turnovers from a defensive side of things? How do you go about getting takeaways from the opposition? And think about this. Nebraska was minus 17 last year, and they were a win away from a bowl game. And they lost how many games? Like 4 or 5 games by 3 points or less. That's the thing. Like they're hurting themselves, obviously. And they're that close to being in a bowl nonetheless, despite shooting themselves in the foot. So that, to me, humongous question is turnovers. How do you go about cleaning that up and becoming more on the plus side of the turnover margin than the minus side? And even if it's the minus side, minus 2 or 3, not minus 17.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to top minus 17. And I think, like Colorado, the problems for Nebraska are, I think, obvious to all. So, yeah, the question mark should absolutely be turnover margin, doing better there. I'm going to also throw in, just in general, quarterback play. Of course, you went through 3 different quarterbacks last season, but between Sims, Purdy, and Harburg, you had 10 passing touchdowns on the season, which is already a critique in and of itself. 10 passing touchdowns total for the year is crazy. They also had 16 interceptions. It's a little bit ridiculous. Now, whether it's Raiola or it's Harburg again or whoever starts under center for you this season, I think improved quarterback play helps basically any team, none more so than the Huskers.
I think we will see an improvement in that department, not only because of the quarterbacks that they brought in, the improvement another year for the quarterbacks who are not named Dylan Raiola, and also a much deeper and more talented wide receiver core. That will help a lot. When you don't have anybody, first of all, injuries hurt that offense a ton last year, particularly in the playmaker position. Lost 2 top running backs and 2 or 3 top receivers last year. That's where, once again, that got to the point where they had to run the quarterback a lot, and that didn't go well after a few games. So, yes, I think we will see improved quarterback play. Hopefully, they can limit the turnovers. There you go. Biggest question mark on your college football team going into the upcoming 2024 football season. Camp is here, baby, and I am stoked. All right, let's get to break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up with the MLB trade deadline and what did the Royals and Rockies do last night. We'll wrap it up next in the Blitz.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
This is Thomas County Fair Week. Tonight, the action kicks off with KPRA Rodeo. Cowboys and cowgirls come from all over the Midwest to try their luck and showcase their talent. They've always got a great clown act. Plus, the roughest, toughest stock makes it one of the best shows on dirt. 7:30 start time this Monday and Tuesday night at the Thomas County Fairgrounds. And don't forget the parade this Tuesday at 5:30. Please come and support the carnival on the Midway. They could use additional volunteers this week during the Thomas County Fair in Colby.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks.
A two-hand follow jam is true for Josh Jackson.
And you're listening to the Morning Blitz with my main man, Ross Volkmer, right here on 102.5 You Rock.
So last night, the Royals with another come-from-behind victory. Vinny Pasquantino with a 2 RBI single. Bobby Witt Jr. with some heads-up base running, giving the Royals the lead, and eventually a 4-3 win over the White Sox, who have now lost 16 in a row. Oh, my gosh, I can't imagine. Those are professional baseball players losing 16 in a row. Not good.
Imagine just sitting in the dugout.
Being in
that clubhouse. Just being in there.
It can't be great right now. You're probably callous to it, probably, which is probably sad, too. But anyway, Royals get a win. Rockies had a 6-2 lead after going into the third inning. Blew it. They lose 10-7 to the Angels last night. Bullpen, or Cal Quantrill was not as good as he's been, especially at home. He's been pretty solid. Was not good on the road last night. Bullpen, even though it was a no decision for him, bullpen was subpar at best. Ryan McMahon did have a home run, 3-run blast, which was nice, but and so did Ezekiel Tovar, had a nice home run as well. But once again, lack of pitching, I think, hurt the Rockies last night in that bullpen. Is that 10-7 loss. That game, too, is tonight. Yeah, Royals wrap up their series. The White Sox today at 1:10 Central on KXXX. Rockies tonight again, late start pitch time, 7:38 Mountain. So a late first pitch. MLB trade deadline. What were a couple of real big takeaways from the MLB trade deadline that you saw?
So obviously, I think overall the biggest headline is the Tigers not moving Tariq Skubal, which he was by all means the number one target of a lot of big name teams. Basically anyone of the Dodgers or the Yankees or big time market teams wanted him, and so he was sort of the top of the trade deadline list. Tigers ended up moving a couple of people, not him. So that's probably the biggest headline, or maybe lack of headline. Royals also made a couple of moves, bolstered the bullpen even more, and then picked up Paul DeJong, who I guess should be sort of a nice little backup for them, and especially talking with Dan Lucero prior to the beginning of this MLB season, pointing out that, hey, organizational depth might be a bit of a concern for KC. This is a nice way to bolster it a little bit.
Yeah, Paul DeJong could possibly have some third for him, is what they're talking. Could play some third with Bobby Witt at short, because DeJong was a shortstop for the White Sox.
Sure.
Lucas Ursig was the guy they picked up late last night from the Athletics. I like this pickup because he's young. He throws gas. He's pretty darn good. He could be like a closer of the future for them, and they have him under control until the 2029 season.
Ooh,
so they get him for a few years. That's a big, big deal to get Lucas Ursig, along with Hunter Harvey and Michael Lorenzen, to help bolster that pitching staff. So that was really good. No Garrett Crochet, the White Sox ace, was not traded, which was a surprise. Jack Flaherty, we talked about him on the show yesterday. He went to the Dodgers. No surprise there. The Dodgers get everybody. But yeah, like I said, nothing real sexy. The Orioles probably were the biggest winners. They went and got a lot of guys. Zach Eflin, Trevor Rogers, Eloy Jimenez. They got a lot of guys. They were big time winners, I thought, were the Orioles at the the deadline. Probably the biggest of anybody, not named the Dodgers or maybe even the Yankees at this point in time.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Another Olympic update. U.S. women gymnastics get the gold after getting silver last time out 4 years ago. They bounced back, led by Simone Biles. And like we mentioned really early in the show to kick things off, U.S. women sevens rugby, first ever medal. They get a bronze yesterday, which was pretty darn cool to see. Yes. I don't know rugby very well, but it was interesting to watch a little bit of that yesterday and the highlights.
Always is. Officially, for the medal count, USA still in the lead, 27. Picked up, of course, that gymnastics gold, so up from 3 to 4, 12 silvers, 11 bronzes. And I think sort of the sweetest moment watching the gymnastics finish up yesterday was Simone Biles telling all of her young teammates as they're getting up onto the podium which ways to face and where to wave and all the things, because she's used to it at this point. She is now the most decorated U.S. gymnast, medals-wise, of all time.
She has been very impressive, that is for sure. What will we see today? We will find out as it's going on right now over in Gayo Paris. For Christian, I'm Ross. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.